Like the others, I wish to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, the owners of this land, pay my respects to their elders past and present. I was struck as I listened to Stephen as he talked about the silence of the churches, and I thought there is silence about what we talk about with HIV in our churches. I find it difficult, although we have a ministry, it's still difficult to talk about it within the Catholic Church. But there isn't a silence of doing, Stephen, by the churches. There is, and people still talk to me about Sister Hilda, an original chaplain at Fairfield Hospital and Anglican sister, and Sister Greta, a Catholic sister that worked there at the same time. So they're women that are very much valued by the HIV community and remembered by that community as being the ones that were in there doing the work at the beginning. For me, it's great to be here talking today because one of the things that troubles me as coordinator of Catholic AIDS Ministry is that we don't reach out to the CALD communities enough. I haven't quite worked out how to do it. If any, I'm very open to ideas and suggestions because it bothers me. I guess my burning desire is that I want people to know, particularly people that have had a religious background that are looking for Spirit, for God, that they are welcome in our churches. If we look at all of the religions talked about here today, all of them would talk of justice, of compassion, of welcome. And I keep thinking, how can I get that message across? At least that people know this, because that to me is the important part. When you know something, you can make a choice. But so many of the people that I talk to just think that no church would want to know them. The number of men that say to me, my church wouldn't want to know me. No, I wouldn't dream of talking about church. Others that the women that say to me, well, I feel dirty and I'm not worthy. And the people that say that, and that just, I guess that's not the message that I hear from any of our churches today. Yet how do we get that message out to people who do feel alienated from us, who do say we wouldn't be welcome? So I guess they're my concerns as someone who works with people who are living with HIV. How do we reduce that stigma? I went to last night to sort of work out what I was going to talk about today, the Ecumenical Advocacy Alliance site. At this stage as we prepare for the international conference in Melbourne, I'm having quite a bit to do with the Ecumenical Alliance, and part of what we're doing is planning an interfaith conference, pre-conference to the international conference. And so I spent some time on their website, and one of the things that we're looking at is the 3 zeros. 0 new infections, 0 deaths, and 0 stigma and discrimination. So we're talking about increased treatment for people. UNAIDS treatment initiative says we want 15 million people living with HIV to be treated by 2015, and currently there's about 10 million people who are receiving treatment. But what does that mean for us here in Melbourne? Because treatment is really freely available. It's relatively easy to get treatment. Or is it? It's the hospital staff would say, I think that it's very easy, but I'm not so sure if you're being tested for HIV or whether you want to be. And I think the problem is not whether it's available, it's whether I'm brave enough to go and get tested, whether I want to face a life on treatment. And so I find myself saying, how do we respond to that? And particularly how do faith communities respond to that and create an environment where that is encouraged? At the end of February, there was a conference in Rome, organised by Caritas Internationalis, UNAIDS and the Ecumenical Advocacy Alliance. And Dr. Louis Louvre, the Assistant Secretary General of the UN and Deputy Executive Director for UNAIDS, he addressed the faith communities there and said, "You care about the dignity of the person, and it is only this unique combination of access to drugs and dignity that can provide the necessary drive to reach the end of AIDS." So I think that's something that we as faith communities have to take on. How do we